John Deere 100 series bagger. This is the way the screen goes in. Let's see if you can see a better shot. Goes in like so, fits between those two grooves and zip tied in. Alright, this is how this part comes. The support arm goes together. Bolt through the back. Bottom of the bracket just fits in the slots. Circular holes underneath there. The bar is through. Wide side on the left, short side on, or straight side on the right. Tightened up in the back with a 13 mil and a washer. And it's going to slide into this side, and then into the smaller hole here, and the smaller hole there. So that looks like this. Brackets in those two holes, just like these empty ones there. It's in there. Rod in the top one there. Other rod in the top hole there. And she sits like that. Alright, the support rod, bottom hole, top hole, bolt, washer nut, 13 mil box wrench on that side, 13 mil socket wrench on this side to tighten it. Okay, putting the hopper top on. The instructor, take that bolt, gonna put it through these holes, one on each side. After we mount it onto here, obviously one through each side. And then secure it tight, not over tight, so the hopper top can actually move up and down. And we'll put that together. So it'll look like this afterwards. Bolts through, the inner bracket goes between the two outers on the support rod, and just snug it up. Because you don't want it to be tight, then your hopper won't open and close nicely. Alright, now last but not least, install all this extra rod there for support. Just throw it through there. A little cotter pin or whatever on the other side. And just holds it in. It doesn't go in any further because it's got that little nub there to stop it from going through the hole. So just make sure it's on top there, and yeah, should be good. So this is what it should look like on the back end of things before you move on to the next step. Bags in, just fit over these two little posts like that. And then this thing here closes. And loops over that to keep it shut. Alright, next thing to do is to swap out the blades for the high lifter blades, which is a good thing for me because my original blades have taken quite the beating over the years, so time for new blades anyway. I just jacked the front of my mower up on that little flange there. Don't worry about it, it's not too much weight, it's not going to bend it. Just holds it there. The lawnmower weighs almost nothing. So do that, and then you can get underneath there and starting to loosen them up. You are going to run into problems. What you have to do is you have to, let's see here, you got to wedge a block of wood somewhere so it binds so these things don't turn when you're trying to loosen it. I'll try to take a video of it when I get it in there. But that's the way I've always done it. Just take a small piece of 2x4 and wedge it in between the metal of the deck somewhere in the blade and just back it off. For this side, I just wedged the piece of wood into there. 24 mil socket on the blade. And this side broke free. I'll show you how I wedged it in the other side too. Okay. This is how they're in. Make sure you put the other new blade in the same way. See, it's kind of like the dome top. I'm sure it probably wouldn't fit the other way too well, as it probably wouldn't get there flush, but just for saying sake, make sure you put the blades in the same way. And this is how I'm wedging it in to tighten it. Just using the opening of the deck there with a piece of wood pushed against it so I can tighten it up. There is a torque spec in there I've personally never used them, but if you want to be on the safe side, go ahead. But I just pull on it pretty good and reef it down, and yeah, it ain't going nowhere. Alright, I wedged a piece of wood at the back of the deck. You can see where it kind of curves in there. Just put the blade against it with your hand lightly, and then put a socket on the nut and should be able to turn. And this is how I wedge this side for tightening. The blade just pushes up right against the piece of wood there against the deck, and you'll be able to get it torqued down like that. So there you are, both high lifter blades are installed. I will definitely give my inside of my deck a scraping down because there's a lot of buildup in there. And then, just since I'm at it, I'm going to take off these covers and grease up the bearings too. They are greasable, and you should do this at the beginning of every season. Okay, I know it's not a part of the bagger install, but you should probably do it anyway. These are 10mm bolts. There's 3 of them on the cover here, on the left side of the mower. There's one back there. You can see it right down there. And then this plastic cover comes off, and then you can access the bearing to grease it up. Alright, this is it without the plastic cover on. I wiped it up with a rag a bit. There's your grease circ right there. So you're going to put a grease gun on there and give it a few pumps in there, and then you should be good again for another season. And then you're going to do the same to the other side. Okay, the right side of the machine only has 2 bolts on the cover. One there, one there. And that hole, you can see it right here. It's a little bit of a hard one to get at, but the other one's pretty easy right there. So take that off. Once again, underneath there will be a grease zerk right here. Clean it off a bit with a rag, and then shoot your grease in there, and then put the plastic cover back on. Okay, cover's back on, both bearings greased. Now we're going to put the chute on. This is the plastic guard that goes up. Got your little metal plate under there. You lift it, grab it by this part. You see how that moves on that hinge there? Pull that open, lift it up, and then it stays there. Okay, so the lower piece goes on. That pin has to fit in the hole right behind the wheel. I haven't hooked up the straps yet, I just roughly put it in. The outside of the bagger must go on top of the deck above. You see how it's completely over top? The bottom fits inside this groove along the outside of the deck. Inside the groove, if it's got debris in there and everything, clean it out with a flathead screwdriver or whatever you got, and it'll fit in there snug. Then we're going to hook up this clip here, and we're going to hook up this clip there, and then this part will be done. Okay, both rubber straps are hooked in. There's a slot on the back of your mower, right there on the back side of the deck. And then there's that little tiny hole next to the wheel in the front of the deck, and that seems to work. The instructions are pretty vague on how they're supposed to go in, but I figure that's probably the right way. So with all that done, your bottom chute's on. Hooks are in, your straps are on, and now to do the second part of the chute. Alright, this is the hole where the top part of the chute goes. Obviously the open side towards the inside of the bags. Shove that through there. Like so. And you're going to come down to this part. You see that there's a bolt sticking out. There is a notch also. So that's where it's going to go. We're going to slide the two together. so. And then we're going to adjust it so it fits right in there, and then we're going to put this strap on there as well, and that's going to hold it all together. Okay, there's everything all put together. Cover, bags, chute. Goes in that notch, strap connects them. Everything. Blades are greased. You can also go ahead and grease these two on the front for your steering. And yeah, that's it.